Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something that frustrates literally millions of people. But honestly, it really shouldn't. The source material we're looking at makes a pretty bold promise. Learning a new language is actually quite simple. No endless app swiping, no super expensive tutors, just a highly efficient self-taught roadmap. So we've got a 5-step playbook today. We'll hit the right language and motivation, mastering the basics, active listening, speaking practice, and finally, mastering culture and context. Let's get right into it. Step 1, the right language and motivation, setting yourself up for success. Our first stop on this journey is all about picking the perfect target. Look, if you're a total beginner treating this like a chore, picking a brutally difficult language just to impress strangers is a massive trap. To actually maximize your chances of success, you've got to start with something easier. For English speakers, languages like Spanish, French, or Portuguese take way less time to learn. And hey, they're spoken all over the globe. Now, if you are determined to tackle a tougher language, you absolutely need the right fuel. Just wanting to understand anime without subtitles? Yeah, that motivation might last you about one day. But practical survival, like finding out your friends made a secret group chat without you, or, as the source hilariously points out, surviving a British invasion, that is infinitely better motivation. Social necessity is what drives real results. Moving on to step 2, master the basics and ditch the apps. Getting off the ground takes a total shift in strategy from what most people usually try. Seriously, it is time to ditch the apps and avoid those endless video rabbit holes. Forget doing a couple of Duolingo lessons and just giving up. Forget watching 138 videos on how to learn Korean that don't actually teach you a single word of Korean. All you really need to do is jump online, search for a free beginner textbook PDF for your target language, or just hit up a local library and actually do the exercises. The whole point here is incredible efficiency. Spending just 1 month genuinely working through a beginner textbook gives you the exact same progress as 2 whole years of swiping on a gamified app, or honestly, roughly 12 years sitting in a traditional school system. It's focused, it's structured, and it gets that foundational grammar out of the way fast. All right, step 3, active listening through YouTube immersion. Once you've conquered that textbook, it's all about the ears. You don't even need to worry about speaking yet. You just need to hear what the language actually sounds like in the wild. And YouTube is absolutely your best friend here. Since everyday conversation really only uses a few thousand words, you're going to hear the same vocabulary repeating constantly. The golden rule here is 30%. You want to find interesting videos where you can figure out a minimum of 30% of what's being said just by using visual context clues. But what if you load up a video and it just sounds like complete gibberish? Hey, it's not your fault. Native speakers often talk incredibly fast. To get around this, the source suggests adding the magic word easy to your YouTube search bar. That little trick serves up way more accessible content. And you can always lean on automatic captions to rewind and look up tricky words. But I cannot stress this warning enough. Do not turn on the English subtitles. If you're relying on reading English while watching foreign shows, you are not actually learning. 5 years down the line, you'll have absolutely nothing to show for your efforts except an anime profile picture and a Discord Nitro subscription. Keep those subtitles strictly in your target language. Next up, step 4, speaking practice. Talking to yourself. Eventually, by immersing yourself with those target language subtitles, you're going to hit a point where you understand at least 70% of what you're watching. That means it is time to speak. And since this is a self-taught method, you'll basically be talking to yourself. First, pause those videos and repeat important sentences out loud, or at least whisper them. Second, physically write useful phrases in a notebook to build up that muscle memory. Third, and this is a big one, record yourself talking to a camera about your day, just pretending you're having a real conversation. And fourth, if you forget a word, just say it in English, keep your flow going, and look it up later using translation tools. It might feel a little lonely at first, but this is exactly how successful self-taught learners reach fluency. Finally, step 5, mastering culture and context, the ultimate real-world test. So, congratulations! You've followed the steps, recorded your videos, and you are officially fluent in a bubble. But eventually, you're going to travel, interact with native speakers, and you'll really need to understand their actual culture. Let's say you learned French. You might expect a romantic stroll by the Eiffel Tower. But the reality you step into could be hundreds of angry farmers driving tractors into the capital to form a massive blockade. To a local, these creative protests are practically a pastime. But to you, it's just utter confusion. You have to grasp that cultural context. To avoid looking totally lost overseas, the source recommends using ground news to keep up with local politics. For instance, when looking at that exact French farmer blockade, the platform shows that a staggering 306 different news sources cover the story. To break down exactly how different groups view these events, Ground News has tools that analyze bias distribution, ownership, and factuality. For this specific protest, the data shows that center, left, and right publications all covered the event fairly equally. Having this kind of impartial data lets you see exactly how the culture you're studying processes its own current events objectively, without taking a side. But the really fascinating part is comparing the headlines directly. Look at how the exact same event gets framed entirely differently depending on a publication's political viewpoint. One side calls the farmers angry manure-slinging traffic blockers, while another frames them as strong revolutionary heroes. Understanding these subtle linguistic nuances, that's what takes you from just speaking a language to actually understanding the people who speak it. The source mentions you can grab a 30% discount on the Ground News Vantage plan to browse international editions, which is a great tool to have. But bringing it all back to our roadmap, I want to leave you with this thought. Now that you have the actual playbook, knowing that you need to ditch the apps, grab a simple textbook, immerse yourself in the media, and study the real-world culture, what is actually stopping you from finally mastering that language you've always dreamed of speaking?